So I get to that in a second. But first, let me talk about Mass Effect a little bit because you guys were wanting me to talk, and I had said I'd talk about the whole trilogy once I finished playing it. I did finish it, um, and I said a few thoughts about it at the last stream I did 2 3 weeks ago. At the end there, I really did. I love the trilogy. It does go down as some of my favorite games I've played. I don't think the third one is a crap game like some people said. I thought the third one had so many great things in it. Now, when you want to get to some of the criticisms of the third one, it's to the end of it. Okay, the end of it, I think they give you three possible endings. And these are like big time endings at the end of the game because of course you've got possible storylines that you could affect all through the trilogy depending on choices you make with different characters, and you get to decide in a lot of ways who lives and who dies, among your teams and stuff. And so you can decide a lot of things about the story as you go along. But overall, in the end of the climax at the third game, they give you three possible endings. I think the one, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers because I know some people might want to go play the games, and that's great. The one I chose, I thought about it a lot. The one I chose is the one where he has to sacrifice himself. And I do say he because I just don't see Shepard working as a woman. If you played Shepard as a woman, that's great. Good for you. Glad you experienced that. I just didn't see it with all of the relationships and all of the storylines. I didn't see a woman filling that role. But that's just me. So I chose the sacrificial ending because I felt like that best spoke to the themes of the trilogy, which were about learning to work together, especially with other synthetic beings. You've got the whole Geth human reconciliation. There's the character of Edie and whatnot. And I couldn't see taking all of that out is the other option, which a lot of people like. A lot of people like that. And that is the only ending where I think Shepard survives somehow, some which way in the end. So I chose that ending, but I do think there should have been another ending. One of the kind of premises of the story and the whole trilogy itself, too, has also been that no matter how overwhelming the odds are, no matter how horrible the challenge that you're being faced with, you can remain true to yourself, and you can. There is a right way. It was a very aspirational, as dark as Mass Effect got. It was a very aspirational hero story if you played it as a Paragon. You could play a Renegade if you wanted to, but playing as a Paragon, there was always a way to make it through. It wasn't an easy way, and sometimes depending on the choices you made, there are little sacrifices here and there. And I don't hate the self-sacrifice ending. I get it, but I don't think it was 100% earned. I think it's the best ending that they gave you. It fits the best with the story's themes, but even then, I don't think it was 100% what it could have been. So if I was writing the game, I would have given another ending some which way in which it could have been, or if you want to keep that ending, develop it out a little bit more. It just kind of sped up a little bit too much at the end there to have that ending. And I'm just speaking from a writer's perspective. That's the main thing I go into video games for, is for a story. But hey, if you like good engaging stories, this is classic BioWare. It's so many years after Knights of the Old Republic, but Knights of the Old Republic is one of the greatest games ever made. And I love that style. I love that BioWare style of, you're this character, the choices you make matter to the story. I love that. That's great. Those are the kind of games that I like playing, Witcher, those kind of games and whatnot. And Mass Effect is classic in that. And especially if now so many years after the fact, if you can get like the Legendary Edition that I did, you don't have to go and answer the questions at the beginning of each game. You can just transfer your save game over, and it actually keeps your progress and the choices you've made and so forth. And it's a very immersive world. It's storytelling at its best. I'll never understand people who just like to blanketly write off video games, like Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh just annoys me. I can't stand the man. I really can't stand the man, quite honestly. And it has nothing to do with his politics. It has to do with his priggish arrogance and the way he will just try to talk down or belittle anybody who dares read a manga or play a video game. I mean, it's like, dude, grow a soul. You don't have to like this stuff, but My goodness. Anyway, a little tangent there, but yes, like anything, video games. I'm a Catholic, and I listen to a lot of Catholic media, and it makes me scratch my head and roll my eyes too when you get to some of these channels out there. There's a great apostolate called Theology of the Body Institute, started by this guy named Christopher West, and it's great. It's really great. The theology of the body. It's a wonderful teaching that the Catholic Church has, which a lot of Protestants wouldn't even disagree with if they took the time to listen to a lot of it and stuff. And depending on their flavor of Protestantism and whatnot. But so it's then they started a YouTube channel, and then he started hiring people to work with him and make videos. And soon enough, because it's YouTube, you can't, even if you come into it with the best of the intentions, if you're trying to get clicks and if you're trying to make a little money up from it, you start to kind of sell your soul a bit. And then they're doing these videos where, guys, women's bathing suits are a great evil in our nation, and then it's like video games, guys, video games and pornography, they're really just killing our young men. You just lump video games with pornography? And these are Catholics too. I'm like, well, where's your video about alcoholism? Oh, we don't say that because we're Catholic. It's like, shut up. Video games are nothing more. They can be used poorly or positively. You can use them in a disordinate fashion, just like alcohol, and they can horribly ruin your life and negatively affect you in various different levels. Or you can approach them positively and not give yourself over to a disordered attachment to them. And video games are capable of really letting us experience story in a way that you don't get just from reading a page. I love story in all different mediums. I love a good novel, just opening a novel and reading it. I love a comic book. A comic book takes it to a whole new level. The words and pictures work in a different conjunction, and they do certain things to your brain that's been scientifically proven. You experience the story in a different way. Likewise, video games. They can invest you in a main character in ways that you never thought of before, because you're almost living it with them virtually. And yeah, you can take that into a dark place and neglect your life and all that kind of stuff, but you don't have to. It's a great form, and playing the Mass Effect games was an example of that. I thought I loved the step up from part 2, from part 1 to part 2, that step up to in the different story, working for Cerberus. That was a really cool idea. Really tested the character, the moral fiber of Shepard. I love that. And in going into 3, I like the setup of that as well. I didn't think it jumped the gun or took a bad turn there. It was just by the end, I think things got a little wonky, which is common, in long form storytelling that gets into trilogies and stuff like that. It doesn't make me hate the trilogy though, or the game at all. Definitely. Because Super says Matt Walsh is the grandpa with grandpa opinions. If he had his way, we'd look at the wall in our spare time and be entertained by never-ending boredom. I know, dude, smile, crack a grin every now and then, just for fun. You're not fishing or killing animals, and get out of here. Why aren't you wearing a flannel? Just whatever. Anyway, where was it? Okay, so yeah, so Mass Effect, I think that's, we could talk ad nauseum about individual characters and so, I think the characterization was really good. Now, in terms of the romance for Shepard, that's the thing where you think, okay, well, some different decisions could have been made there, right? In the first game, it's really trying to suggest that Shepard belongs with Liara T'Soni. And I felt like that was where the story of that first game was really pushing those two together. First, it seems like maybe Ashley Williams, by the end, So I like to follow, if the story gives your character a decision of who to romance or whatnot, like Witcher did and so forth. I like to follow whatever is best for the story. So I let him, be with Liara T'Soni there. By the second game, though, in some ways it's kind of Liara makes it a little harder to stay with her in some ways, but you can see past that. Okay, it's because of what she's been through and losing him the first time and so forth. But they really try and open it up so that you can also have a good story experience if you wanted to put the character with Miranda or somebody, or even shoot, I can't remember her character's name. It's been a little while since I played the game. Oh, it's bugging me that I can't. Tali. That's okay. All right, I remember the name. You can even romance Tali at some point, which is interesting apparently. So, but I kept it with Liara throughout the whole game. and I was satisfied with that culmination there. But it's a replayable game. You know, when you play with different decisions for different things, you know, you can play it and make some different decisions to see that outcome as well. So yeah, I like that. I have no real deal breaking complaints with the Mass Effect trilogy. I'm definitely going to replay it at some point. Yeah, I would have done it a little bit differently in the end if I had my way about it, or if I was consulted, but I wasn't. So it's still good though.